Ann Malone with the Indian School Corridor Citywide Coalition against the bill.
I need to know what the Indian...
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, committee members. I did send you all... Oh, sorry, no one ever hears me. Okay, I did send you all an email previously in the week for the Tuesday's presentation about how I feel about this. First, I would like to say who I am, and that will lead to who this organization is. I told you my name is Ann Malone. I have been married to my college sweetheart for 32 years. We have 7 children and have our own small business that employs 6 people. As entrepreneurs, we provide to our employees before we take benefits for ourselves. As a result of this, my husband and I have no pension plan. And even though I'm supposed to be home getting dinner on the table, I am here to defend PRS. So alphabet soup. I know I get it wrong every time. Anyway, I do that because of my contact with law enforcement in this organization that I started. 3 years ago, I had a convicted felon living behind the wall of my house for several months. It's a long, ugly story. But the result of it was police were doing nothing, but I think police are good, blah, 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 blah. Now, 3.5 years later, me going door to door, there are 53,000 households, not individuals, households, and nearly 700 businesses in the city of Phoenix who have united behind this principle known in New York City, which is where I'm from, of broken windows. Our mission is working together for crime prevention and crime reduction, as well as redevelopment of those areas that are affected by these issues. We consider the interests of the frontline enforcement partners as our own, and we strongly oppose this bill as it stands now. I don't get paid. I'm a volunteer. It's all grassroots. What I'd like to say is different than what was in my letter was Mr. Adams got here and listed 3 principal criteria for this bill. Protect the taxpayer. That's me. Eliminate the rare abuses to this system. We agree that there are rare abuses to this system, but that there are things that need to be fixed. Protect the rank and file employees, and in my case, this means police. Well, I would like to tell Mr. Chairman, the committee, and Mr. Adams, that my 53,000 taxpaying households want me to tell you that you cannot protect our interests at the expense of our law enforcement partners. You can't do it. Mr. Adams speaks to drop as another form of double dipping. Double dipping seriously offends me, and that's a whole other story for a whole other day. However, he also said that he sees no benefit in drop and relates to drop as double dipping. Both of these statements I find unacceptable. And the reason is I can tell you what the public policy benefit to my membership is. We see a way to survive the last 2 years and the next 3 years in the city of Phoenix when we have a hiring freeze. And we are at levels that are dangerously low. Per capita police levels are dangerously low in spite of the fact that crime has dropped, which nobody really has an answer for. It's happening nationwide. We also see, when we look at drop, our road-weary, experienced warriors who agree to stay on 5 more years for their salary only. That is not double dipping. For their salary only, as their pension benefits are on hold. Mr. Adams asks about making hard choices. I ask you today, which is the harder choice? To rush through this process, weighing in the balance the taxpayers' interests that are somewhat imaginary. Even the gentleman from the Tax Research Association is talking about a public perception as if we are uneducated or cannot be educated to the realities of this. We trust you to speak the truth to us. When you do, we know it. And I don't like to be told that you have to legislate on perceptions because we don't understand something. What is harder? That decision that Mr. Adams is putting in front of you, or an officer's decision to stay on the street the last 3 years of his drop program to protect us, when he knows every day his shift could mean protecting our families at the expense of his, protecting our lives at the expense of his. And you want to rush through this process? I beg you, don't do it. I would suggest that without drop, the remaining 3-year hiring freeze in Phoenix, we, the taxpayers, will suffer as a result of Mr. Adams' hard choices. The membership of this organization, again, over 53,000 taxpayers and businesses who produce taxes and pay taxes, we want you to vote no on this bill as it is and order continued discussion with stakeholders and their citizen partners. We all know a solution must be found, but it is not this bill as it stands. We can bring you evidence on drop and alternative formulas of COLAs that make sense for all of us. There is evidence to indicate that in a number of systems in other states, the presence of drop provisions does not necessarily add to the actuarial cost of the system. We believe that we have the right to present this evidence and that you have the duty to hear it as our representatives. And we want you to do that before you rush to judgment. Let us work together to find a solution that is not only economically viable, but that also honors the sacred, yes, the sacred bond that we tax-paying citizens have with our frontline officers. I ask you to invite us to the table so that you know what we are really thinking, not what you think we think. And I thank you for your time and letting me be here today.
Thank you, Ms. Malone.